Communication is not something you are born with. It is something you build, shape, and refine over time. Every opportunity you get, every relationship you keep, every door that opens in your life is connected to how well you communicate, not just with words but with presence, clarity, and emotional control. This book is about developing that power step by step, calmly, naturally, without pretending to be someone you're not. Stay with this journey till the end, and make sure to subscribe, because learning how to develop communication skills will change how people listen to you and how you see yourself. Chapter 1. Understanding the true nature of communication. Communication is not just talking. It never was. Most people believe communication begins when they open their mouth. In reality, it begins long before that moment. It begins with how you see yourself, how you feel inside, how you interpret the world around you. Words are only the final layer. The true nature of communication lives beneath words, in intention, powered in emotion, in awareness, and in presence. This is where most people misunderstand communication. They focus on sentences, vocabulary, and techniques, but ignore the inner state that gives words their power. You can say the right words and still fail to connect. You can say very little and still move people deeply. The difference is not language. The difference is alignment. Communication is an exchange of inner worlds. Every time you speak, you are revealing something about yourself, your confidence, your fear, your calm, your insecurity, even when you try to hide it. People don't just hear what you say. They feel where it's coming from. If your words come from tension, they carry tension. If your words come from clarity, they carry clarity. If your words come from calm confidence, they carry authority. That is the true nature of communication. It is emotional before it is verbal. This is why communication breaks down so often. People try to communicate outwardly, without understanding themselves inwardly. They speak to be heard, not to be understood. They react instead of respond. They rush instead of observe. They talk instead of connect. Real communication begins with awareness. Awareness of yourself, awareness of others, awareness of the moment. When awareness is missing, communication becomes noise. Think about how many conversations fail every day, not because people lack intelligence, but because they lack presence. They are physically there, but mentally elsewhere. They speak while thinking of what to say next. They listen while preparing to defend. They respond while emotions are still unsettled. This creates disconnection. The true nature of communication is relational. It is not about winning conversations. It is about building understanding. Every effective communicator understands this shift. They stop trying to dominate dialogue and start trying to align with people. Alignment changes everything. When you align with someone emotionally, words flow naturally. Resistance drops. Trust builds. Communication stops feeling forced and starts feeling effortless. Another truth about communication is this: communication is constant. Even when you are silent, you are communicating. Your posture communicates confidence or insecurity. Your tone communicates calm or tension. Your eye contact communicates openness or avoidance. Silence can communicate respect, or it can communicate discomfort. You are always communicating something. That's why developing communication skills is not about learning how to talk more, but learning how to be more intentional. Intentional with your energy, intentional with your reactions, intentional with your presence. Communication also reflects self-relationship. How you communicate with others is deeply connected to how you communicate with yourself. If your inner dialogue is harsh, your outer communication becomes sharp. If your inner dialogue is confused, your outer communication becomes unclear. If your inner dialogue is calm and grounded, your outer communication becomes confident and reassuring. You cannot separate inner communication from outer communication. This is why true development starts internally. Before you change how you speak, you must understand how you think, how you feel, how you process emotion, because communication carries emotional weight. Every word lands with impact. positive or negative. Most people are unaware of this impact. They speak casually, without realizing the emotional effect of their words. A small comment can discourage someone. A careless tone can damage trust. A rushed response can shut someone down. On the other hand, a calm sentence can stabilize tension. A kind tone can open hearts. A patient pause can restore respect. Communication shapes reality. It shapes relationships. It shapes careers. It shapes identity. This is why developing communication skills is one of the most important investments you can make in yourself. Another part of the true nature of communication is responsibility. Every communicator is responsible, not just for what they intend, but for what they create. Intent does not erase impact. You may not mean to hurt someone, but if your communication does, the responsibility still exists. Socially intelligent communicators understand this. They take ownership of their tone, their timing, their delivery. They don't hide behind excuses. They refine their expression. They learn, they adjust, they grow. Communication is also contextual. The same words spoken in different moments create different meanings. Timing matters. Environment matters. Emotional state matters. What works in one situation can fail completely in another. That's why rigid communication styles break down. True communicators are flexible. They adapt without losing authenticity. They adjust without becoming fake. This balance is a skill, and like all skills, it can be developed. Communication is not talent. It is practice. Some people develop it unconsciously through life experience. Others develop it intentionally through awareness. The second path is faster, deeper, more reliable. When you understand the true nature of communication, you stop blaming others for misunderstandings. You start refining yourself. You stop asking, "Why don't they get me?" and start asking, "How can I express this more clearly?" That shift changes everything. Communication is also about listening, real listening, not waiting for your turn to speak, not filtering what you hear through ego. Listening is presence without interruption. When you listen deeply, people feel valued. When people feel valued, they listen to you. This is the loop of effective communication. Give presence. Receive attention. The true nature of communication is exchange, not performance. You are not on stage. You are in relationship. Once you understand this, pressure disappears. You no longer feel the need to impress. You no longer fear judgment. You simply focus on clarity, connection, and calm. And from that space, your communication naturally improves. This chapter sets the foundation. Because before techniques, before confidence, before influence, you must understand what communication really is. It is not words. It is not volume. It is not charisma. It is awareness in action. And once you see that clearly, developing communication skills becomes a natural, steady process, not a struggle. From here, everything builds. Chapter 2. Building self-awareness for better communication. Communication does not improve from the outside in. It improves from the inside out. Before your words can change, your awareness must change. Self-awareness is the silent foundation behind every strong communicator. Without it, words become guesses. With it, words become intentional. Most people communicate on autopilot. They react based on habit, emotion, and past experiences they have never examined. They speak first, then think later. Self-aware communicators reverse this process. They notice first, they understand, then they speak. This single difference separates average communication from powerful communication. Self-awareness begins with emotional recognition. You cannot manage what you cannot name. Every emotion you carry leaks into your communication. Even when you try to hide it, stress tightens your tone, fear shortens your patience, insecurity weakens your voice, calm steadies your presence. If you are unaware of these states, they control your communication. If you are aware of them, You control your response. Self-awareness gives you choice. Choice is power. Most communication problems are emotional problems, not language problems. People say the wrong thing because they feel the wrong way. They interrupt because they feel anxious. They argue because they feel threatened. They stay silent because they feel unworthy. Without self-awareness, these patterns repeat endlessly. With self-awareness, they begin to dissolve. Building self-awareness means learning to pause internally, before reacting, before defending, before explaining. That pause creates space, and space creates clarity. In that space, you begin to notice your internal dialogue. The voice inside your head shapes the voice that comes out of your mouth. If your inner voice is harsh, if your outer voice becomes sharp. If your inner voice is rushed, your outer communication becomes messy. If your inner voice is calm and grounded, your communication becomes clear and confident. Self-aware communicators listen to themselves as closely as they listen to others. They notice tension in the body, tight shoulders, shallow breath, clenched jaw. These signals matter. The body often speaks before the mind does. When your body is tense, your communication loses softness. When your breath is shallow, your words lose depth. Self-awareness reconnects you to these subtle signals, and once you notice them, you can regulate them. A slower breath, a relaxed posture, a grounded stance. These adjustments may seem small, but they transform how your message lands. Self-awareness also includes understanding your triggers. Everyone has them. Certain tones, certain words, certain behaviors. Triggers bypass logic and activate emotion instantly. When triggered, communication becomes reactive. Reaction feels urgent. Response feels intentional. Self-awareness helps you recognize when a trigger is activated. That recognition creates distance between stimulus and response. You stop being controlled by automatic reactions. You begin choosing how to respond. This is emotional maturity in communication. Self-aware communicators do not deny emotion. They acknowledge it internally without letting it dominate the interaction. They understand that feeling something does not mean acting on it. This distinction is crucial. Without it, communication becomes emotional dumping. With it, communication becomes emotional leadership. Self-awareness also reveals patterns: how you communicate under pressure, how you communicate with authority figures, how you communicate in conflict, how you communicate when you feel ignored. Patterns repeat until they are seen. Once seen, they can be changed. You begin to ask yourself quietly, this is my old pattern. Do I want to repeat it? That question alone creates growth. Self-awareness also improves listening. When you are aware of your own thoughts, you stop interrupting others mentally. You notice when you are waiting to speak. Instead of listening, you notice when ego is involved, when defensiveness appears, when the need to be right arises. Awareness softens these impulses. Listening becomes cleaner, more present, more respectful. People feel this immediately. They feel when they are truly heard. And when people feel heard, they open up. Self-awareness also strengthens confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet confidence. The kind that comes from knowing yourself. When you understand your strengths, you speak with assurance. When you accept your weaknesses, you speak without pretending. Pretending creates tension. Authenticity creates ease. Self-aware communicators do not fear silence. They understand that silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is the strongest part of communication. It allows space for reflection. It shows control. It signals confidence. Without self-awareness, silence feels uncomfortable. With self-awareness, silence feels intentional. Self-awareness also helps you align intention and expression. Sometimes people mean well, but communicate poorly. Their intention is good, but their delivery creates misunderstanding. Self-awareness helps bridge that gap. You become more careful with how you say things, not just what you say. Tone becomes deliberate. Timing becomes thoughtful. Delivery becomes precise. This is not overthinking. This is emotional intelligence in action. As self-awareness grows, you stop blaming others for communication breakdowns. You stop saying, "They misunderstood me." You start asking, "How can I express this more clearly?" That shift makes you powerful because you regain control over how you show up. Self-awareness also builds consistency. Your communication stops changing wildly based on mood. People begin to trust you because they know what to expect. Consistency builds credibility. Credibility builds influence. Influence builds respect. And all of it begins with awareness. Self-awareness is not instant. It develops through observation, reflection, honest self-examination. It grows quietly, but its effects are loud. Your communication becomes calmer. Your presence becomes steadier. Your words become clearer. And most importantly, your interactions become intentional instead of reactive. This chapter is the internal foundation, because before you improve how you speak, you must understand how you exist inside every conversation. From here, communication development becomes structured, intentional, and sustainable. This is where true skill begins. Chapter 3: Emotional Control and Clear Expression. Clear communication is impossible without emotional control, not because emotions are bad, but because unmanaged emotions distort expression. When emotion takes over, clarity disappears. Words become rushed. Tone becomes sharp or weak. Meaning becomes blurred. People do not hear what you intend. They hear what you feel. This is why emotional control is not suppression. It is direction. Emotions are energy. Energy must be guided, not ignored. Most communication failures happen not because people lack intelligence, but because they lose emotional control in the moment that matters most. They speak while anger is still hot. They respond while fear is active. They explain while insecurity is loud. In those moments, expression loses structure. Clear expression requires emotional steadiness. Emotional control begins with awareness, but it matures through regulation. Regulation means you feel the emotion without letting it dictate your behavior. You acknowledge the emotion internally while keeping your expression intentional. This skill separates reactive communicators from effective ones. Reactive communicators speak from emotion. Effective communicators speak through emotion. That difference changes everything. When emotions are uncontrolled, communication becomes defensive. Defensiveness blocks understanding. It shifts focus from clarity to protection. People stop listening. They start preparing counter-responses. But when emotional control is present, communication becomes grounded. Grounded communication feels safe. Safe communication invites openness. Clear expression lives in safety. Emotional control also affects pacing. Strong emotions speed people up. They interrupt. They talk over others. They rush explanations. Clarity needs space. When you slow your emotional response, your words slow naturally. Your sentences organize themselves. This pacing allows meaning to land. Clear expression is not about saying more. It is about saying what matters, without emotional noise. Emotional noise clouds intent. Anger adds sharpness. Fear adds hesitation. Insecurity adds over-explaining. Ego adds dominance. All of these reduce clarity. Emotional control removes excess. It allows your message to stand on its own. Another critical aspect of emotional control is emotional timing. Some emotions are valid, but not useful in the moment. Feeling frustrated may be real, but expressing it immediately may damage understanding. Emotional control helps you choose when to express and when to pause. Pausing is not avoidance. It is strategy. A pause allows emotion to settle. When emotion settles, clarity rises. Clear expression often comes after emotion has softened. This is why emotionally mature communicators are patient with themselves. They don't rush expression. They let emotions pass before shaping words. This patience creates power. Clear expression also requires emotional honesty. Control does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means expressing truth without emotional distortion. You can communicate dissatisfaction calmly. You can express disagreement respectfully. You can state boundaries without aggression. This is emotional mastery. Emotionally uncontrolled communication feels explosive or passive. Emotionally controlled communication feels firm and balanced. Balance builds credibility. People trust communicators who remain steady under pressure. They feel safe with them. They listen more closely. Clear expression also depends on emotional vocabulary. If you cannot name what you feel, you cannot express it clearly. Unclear emotions create vague language. People say things like, "I'm just not feeling right," instead of identifier, tension, disappointment, or confusion. Clarity improves when emotional understanding deepens. When you understand your emotional state, you communicate with precision. As precision removes misunderstanding, emotional control also shapes tone. Tone carries more meaning than words. The same sentence spoken with calm tone creates understanding. Spoken with frustration, it creates resistance. Control allows tone to match intention. Without control, tone reveals inner conflict. Clear expression requires internal alignment. What you feel, what you think, and what you say, and what you must be connected. When they are misaligned, communication feels confusing. People sense inconsistency instantly. Alignment builds trust. Emotional control also prevents escalation. Most conflicts grow because emotions spiral. One reaction triggers another. Tone sharpens. Defensiveness rises. Clarity disappears. A communicator with emotional control breaks the spiral. They respond slowly. They lower intensity. They choose words carefully. This de-escalation restores clarity. Clear expression is strongest in calm emotional environments, and you are responsible for the emotional environment you create. Emotional control also strengthens listening. When emotions run high, listening becomes selective. People hear only what confirms their feelings. Control opens perception. You begin hearing nuance. You understand subtext. This understanding improves response quality. Clear expression is impossible without clear listening. Emotionally controlled communicators listen without interruption. Because their emotions are not demanding attention, their calm allows space for the other person's message. That space creates mutual clarity. Another important element is emotional resilience. Clear expression is tested under stress, when tired, when criticized, when challenged. Resilience allows clarity to survive pressure. Without resilience, expression collapses under stress. With resilience, communication remains stable. Resilience grows from self-trust. When you trust yourself emotionally, you don't panic under pressure. You remain grounded. Grounding stabilizes expression. Clear expression also benefits from emotional detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means not being consumed by emotion. You feel the emotion without becoming it. This separation allows objectivity. Objectivity improves clarity. You explain instead of accuse. You describe instead of attack. People receive this more openly. Emotional control also reduces over-communication. Many people explain too much because they are emotionally insecure. They fear being misunderstood. This fear clutters expression. Controlled communicators trust clarity. They speak concisely. They let silence work. Silence reinforces meaning. Clear expression is not verbose. It is focused. Emotionally controlled communication feels confident without force. It commands attention quietly. People lean in instead of pulling away. This is the power of emotional control. It does not make you less expressive. It makes you more precise. Precision is influence. As emotional control improves, communication becomes intentional. You choose words deliberately. You manage tone consciously. You control pacing naturally. This transforms how people respond to you. They listen. They respect. They understand. Clear expression is the visible result of invisible emotional mastery. This chapter strengthens the bridge between inner regulation and outer communication. Without this bridge, skills remain theoretical. With it, communication becomes lived experience. From here, your expression will begin to feel calmer, stronger, and clearer in every environment you enter. This is where communication starts becoming reliable, not because situations change, but because you do. Chapter 4. Developing active listening skills. Most people believe communication is about speaking well. In reality, communication is built on listening well. Without listening, words lose direction. Meaning collapses. Connection breaks. Active listening is not silence. It is presence. It is the ability to fully receive what another person is expressing, not just through words, but through tone, emotion, and intention. Most people hear, but very few truly listen. Hearing is passive. Listening is intentional. When you hear, sound reaches your ears. When you listen, meaning reaches your awareness. This difference defines the quality of every interaction you have. Active listening begins with internal stillness. If your mind is noisy, your listening becomes shallow. Thoughts interrupt attention. Judgment filters understanding. Assumptions distort meaning. To listen actively, you must quiet the urge to respond immediately. You must let the other person finish their internal process before you begin yours. This patience creates trust. People open up when they feel uninterrupted. Active listening also requires emotional openness. If you are defensive, you cannot listen clearly. Defensiveness closes perception. Active listening opens perception. It allows you to receive information without reacting emotionally. Reaction interrupts understanding. Understanding requires calm. When you listen calmly, you absorb nuance. Nuance carries truth that words alone cannot express. Active listening also involves letting go of the need to control the conversation. Many people listen only to redirect. They wait for a pause to bring the focus back to themselves. This is not listening. This is turn-taking. Active listening stays with the speaker. It does not rush. It does not hijack. It does not compete. It holds space. Holding space means allowing someone to express themselves fully, without fear of interruption, correction, or dismissal. This creates emotional safety. Safety deepens communication. Active listening also requires awareness of non-verbal signals. Words carry information, but emotion travels through body language. A slight hesitation, a change in tone, a shift in posture. These signals reveal what words hide. Active listeners notice these signals. They listen with eyes, not just ears. They sense discomfort. They sense excitement. They sense uncertainty. This sensitivity allows more accurate responses. Active listening is not agreeing. It is understanding. You can understand someone without sharing their opinion. Understanding dissolves conflict. Most conflicts exist because people feel unheard. When someone feels heard, their need to defend decreases. Their emotional intensity softens. Listening calms emotion. Active listening also improves clarity. When you fully understand someone, your response becomes precise. Precision reduces misunderstanding. Misunderstanding creates frustration. Listening removes friction before it forms. Another key element of active listening is presence without judgment. Judgment blocks curiosity. When you judge, you stop learning. Active listening replaces judgment with observation. You notice without labeling. You receive without reacting. This neutrality keeps communication clean. Active listening also requires managing internal distractions. Thoughts will arise. Opinions will form. Active listeners notice these thoughts without following them. They gently return attention to the speaker. This discipline strengthens focus. Focus deepens connection. Active listening also includes acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is not interruption. It is recognition, a nod, a calm expression, a brief verbal signal. These cues tell the speaker they are being followed. This encourages openness. People speak more clearly when they feel supported. Active listening also involves reflecting understanding, not repeating words, but reflecting meaning. This shows deep comprehension. It reassures the speaker that their message has landed. This reassurance builds trust. Trust strengthens communication flow. Active listening also improves leadership. People follow those who make them feel understood. Understanding creates influence, without force. Listening becomes power when it is consistent. People seek your presence because they feel safe with you. Active listening also improves emotional intelligence. You become aware of emotional patterns. You understand what motivates people, what worries them, what excites them. This awareness sharpens communication. You stop guessing. You start responding accurately. Active listening also reduces over-talking. When you listen well, you speak less but say more. Your words become relevant. Relevance increases impact. Active listening also strengthens patience. Patience creates calm energy. Calm energy stabilizes conversations. Stability encourages honesty. Honesty deepens relationships. Active listening also improves problem solving. When you fully understand a problem, solutions become clearer. Most problems persist because they are misunderstood. Listening dissolves confusion. Active listening also reveals what is not being said. Silence carries meaning. Pauses signal hesitation. Short answers signal discomfort. Active listeners notice these gaps. They respect them. Respect allows truth to surface. Active listening also reduces ego. Ego interrupts listening. When ego relaxes, connection strengthens. You stop listening to reply. You start listening to understand. This shift transforms communication quality. Active listening also develops empathy. Empathy is not sympathy. It is understanding emotional perspective. Understanding perspective prevents misinterpretation. Misinterpretation creates conflict. Listening reduces conflict naturally. Active listening also improves self-control. You resist the urge to interrupt, correct, or dominate. This restraint communicates maturity. Maturity earns respect. Active listening also builds long-term trust. People remember who listened to them during important moments. Trust accumulates slowly, but compounds deeply. Active listening also creates balance. Conversations feel equal. No one feels overshadowed. No one feels ignored. Balance creates harmony. Active listening also teaches humility. You accept that you don't always know everything. This openness invites growth. Growth strengthens communication skill. Active listening is not a technique. It is a mindset. A mindset of presence. A mindset of respect. A mindset of curiosity. When you adopt this mindset, communication becomes effortless. People feel valued. They respond positively. They engage openly. Active listening transforms you from a speaker into a connector, and connection is the heart of communication. This chapter builds the foundation for meaningful interaction, because once you truly listen, your words naturally become clearer, calmer, and more impactful. From here, communication stops being about talking well and starts being about understanding deeply, and that changes everything. Chapter 5. Speaking with confidence and authenticity. Confidence in communication is often misunderstood. Many people think confidence means speaking loudly, dominating conversations, or never showing hesitation. In reality, true confidence is quiet. It does not rush. It does not force itself forward. It does not need to prove anything. Authenticity is what gives confidence its strength. Without authenticity, confidence becomes performance. With authenticity, confidence becomes presence. People don't trust confident words alone. They trust congruent words. When what you say matches who you are, people feel it immediately. This is why authenticity is not optional. It is essential. Speaking with confidence begins with self-acceptance. You cannot sound confident if you are internally fighting yourself. When you accept who you are, your voice relaxes, your tone steadies, your words flow naturally. Internal resistance creates hesitation. Internal alignment creates ease. Authentic communicators do not pretend to be flawless. They speak from clarity, not perfection. They allow their personality to be present. They allow their natural rhythm to exist. This naturalness removes tension. People feel comfortable around those who are comfortable with themselves. Confidence also comes from clarity of intention. When you know why you are speaking, your words gain direction. Unclear intention creates scattered speech. Clear intention creates focused expression. Authentic confidence does not come from impressing others. It comes from expressing truth clearly. You don't need dramatic language. You don't need exaggerated emotion. You need alignment. Speaking with confidence also requires trusting your own voice. Many people doubt their words before they even speak. That doubt leaks through tone. It softens conviction. When you trust your message, your voice becomes grounded. Grounded voices carry authority. Authority does not come from control. It comes from certainty. Certainty does not mean being right all the time. It means being honest about what you know and comfortable with what you don't. Authentic communicators are not afraid to pause. Pauses signal confidence. Rushing signals insecurity. When you allow silence, your words carry more weight. Silence gives meaning, space to land. Authenticity also requires emotional honesty. Not emotional overflow, but emotional truth. You speak what is real without dramatizing it. This balance creates trust. People trust speakers who are emotionally real but emotionally regulated. Confidence also grows through preparation, not memorizing words, but organizing thoughts. When your thoughts are structured, your expression becomes clear. Clarity builds confidence naturally. Authentic confidence does not imitate others. It develops your own style. Trying to copy someone else creates inner tension. Your communication improves when you allow your natural tone, your natural pacing, your natural expression to exist. Authenticity removes the pressure to perform. Without performance, confidence feels lighter. Confidence also grows from experience. Each time you speak honestly and survive the moment, your confidence deepens. Fear weakens when faced repeatedly. Speaking with confidence also means being comfortable with disagreement. Authentic communicators do not avoid conflict. They handle it calmly. They express opinions respectfully, without attacking others. This steadiness earns respect. Confidence also means not over-explaining yourself. Over-explaining signals insecurity. Clear statements delivered calmly signal self-trust. Authenticity also shows in vulnerability, not exposing everything, but being real where it matters. Vulnerability used wisely deepens connection. People relate to honesty as more than perfection. Confidence grows when you stop hiding. Hiding drains energy. Being real restores energy. Speaking with confidence also requires owning your space, your posture, your breath, your presence. When your body is grounded, your voice follows. Confidence lives in the body before it reaches words. Authentic communicators speak from their center, not from anxiety, not from ego. This centeredness is felt. People listen differently when they sense authenticity. They relax. They trust. Confidence also means accepting mistakes without collapsing. Mistakes handled calmly increase credibility. Perfection creates distance. Authenticity creates connection. Speaking with confidence and authenticity is a long-term practice. It develops through awareness, honesty, and repetition. Each conversation strengthens it. As confidence grows, communication becomes easier. You stop forcing your voice. You stop editing yourself excessively. You speak clearly because you trust yourself. This chapter strengthens your outward expression by aligning it with your inner truth. From here, your words will begin to feel stronger, not because they are louder, but because they are real, and real communication always carries power. Chapter 6. Communicating clearly under pressure. Pressure changes everything. It tightens the mind. It shortens patience. It accelerates emotion. Under pressure, communication is tested. What you practiced in calm moments either holds together or falls apart. Pressure does not create weakness. It reveals it. Clear communication under pressure is not about speaking faster. It is about staying centered. While everything around you accelerates, most people lose clarity under pressure because they lose control of their inner state. Their breathing becomes shallow. Their thoughts scatter. Their emotions rise too quickly. Words follow the chaos. Clarity disappears, not because they lack intelligence, but because the nervous system takes over. Under pressure, the body reacts first. Heart rate increases. Muscles tighten. Attention narrows. If this reaction is unmanaged, communication becomes reactive. Reactive communication feels rushed, defensive, or overly emotional. Clear communication requires regulation. Regulation begins with slowing down internally, even when the external moment demands speed. This internal slowing creates space. Space allows structure. Structure allows clarity. Communicators who stay clear under pressure do one thing exceptionally well. They control their internal rhythm. They do not let urgency dictate expression. They do not let stress shape tone. They anchor themselves before they speak. Anchoring is not visible. It happens quietly, a deeper breath, a relaxed jaw, a steady posture. These subtle actions stabilize the nervous system. Once stabilized, clarity becomes possible. Under pressure, people often speak too much. They explain excessively. They repeat themselves. They overload details. This comes from fear of misunderstanding. Fear clutters communication. Clear communicators under pressure simplify. They reduce language to essentials. They focus on meaning, not volume. Simple sentences. Clear direction. Calm delivery. This combination cuts through chaos. Pressure also tempts people to defend themselves. Defense shifts communication from clarity to protection. Protected communication sounds tense. It feels rigid. Clear communication remains open, even under challenge. This openness comes from emotional confidence. When you trust yourself, you don't need to defend every point. You state what matters and let it stand. Pressure also tests emotional timing. Some moments demand restraint. Some demand firmness. Some demand patience. Clear communicators read the moment before choosing the tone. They do not match pressure with pressure. They counter pressure with steadiness. Steadiness changes the entire interaction. It slows others down. It de-escalates intensity. It restores order. Clear communication under pressure often becomes leadership. People look toward the calm voice. Calm creates direction. Under pressure, listening becomes more important. Many people stop listening because they feel rushed. This leads to misunderstanding. Clear communicators listen carefully, even when time feels limited. They understand that miscommunication creates more delay than patience ever could. Listening under pressure prevents errors. Errors multiply stress. Clear listening reduces stress. Pressure also amplifies emotional triggers. Old habits resurface. Defensiveness appears. Irritation rises. Clear communicators notice these signals. They do not suppress them. They regulate them. Regulation keeps expression intentional. Clear communication under pressure also depends on mental organization. When thoughts are scattered and words scatter, organizing thoughts quickly becomes a critical skill. This organization does not require complexity. It requires focus. One idea at a time. One message at a time. Clear communicators avoid jumping between points. They finish one thought before moving to the next. This linear expression will bredisprotinity kitchen or this below. This heidetif the kortjavt in stage. Want this imandrigod for twort mao bien hu stage with now and in this tamala the pendiv to few mengen caveat. Helps others follow easily. Under pressure, tone becomes decisive. Tone carries authority faster than content. A calm tone reassures. A tense tone alarms. Clear communicators manage tone consciously. They speak slightly slower. They lower volume subtly. These adjustments signal control. Control creates trust. Pressure also challenges confidence. Doubt can appear suddenly. Clear communicators do not argue with doubt. They acknowledge it silently and proceed with clarity. They rely on preparation and presence rather than emotional certainty. Preparation creates structure. Structure supports clarity. When emotion fluctuates, clear communication under pressure is also supported by boundaries. Knowing what not to engage in protects clarity. Not every challenge deserves response. Not every comment deserves explanation. Selective response preserves energy. Energy preservation maintains clarity. Pressure drains energy quickly. Clear communicators conserve it. They respond where it matters. They disengage where it doesn't. This selectivity prevents overload. Clear communication under pressure also benefits from emotional detachment. Detachment creates perspective. Perspective reduces intensity. You remain involved without becoming consumed. This balance protects clarity. Under pressure, silence becomes powerful. Silence slows the pace. It gives words space to land. Clear communicators use silence intentionally. They do not fear it. Fear fills silence with noise. Confidence lets silence work. Pressure also tests authenticity. Some people become rigid, others become artificial. Clear communicators remain real. They do not perform. They do not pretend calm. They don't have. They regulate emotion, honesty, and speak from grounded presence. Authenticity stabilizes expression. People respond positively to real calm, more than forced confidence. Clear communication under pressure requires resilience. Resilience comes from repeated exposure. Each time you communicate calmly under stress, your nervous system learns. Learning builds confidence. Confidence reduces future stress. This cycle strengthens over time. Clear communicators also understand that pressure is temporary. This awareness reduces urgency. When urgency drops, clarity rises. They focus on the message, not the moment. Message outlives pressure. Clear communication under pressure protects relationships. Words spoken under stress leave lasting impressions. Calm words preserve respect. Harsh words damage trust. Clear communicators choose preservation over emotional release. This choice reflects maturity. Maturity strengthens credibility. Credibility amplifies communication impact. As this skill develops, pressure stops feeling threatening. It becomes a signal to slow down internally and speak with intention. Clarity becomes reliable. You no longer fear high-stakes moments. You trust your ability to remain present, organized, and calm. This chapter strengthens your ability to communicate effectively when it matters most, because true communication skill is not measured in comfort, but in pressure. And when clarity survives pressure, your communication becomes dependable. From here, every difficult moment becomes an opportunity to demonstrate control, confidence, and clarity. Chapter 7. Understanding Nonverbal Communication. Communication does not begin with words. It begins with presence. Before you speak, you are already communicating. Your posture, your facial expression, your eye contact, your movement, all of these speak before your voice does. Nonverbal communication is the language people trust the most. Words can be edited. Body language cannot. People believe what they see more than what they hear. This is why understanding nonverbal communication is essential for developing true communication skill. Nonverbal signals reveal emotional truth. A relaxed body suggests confidence. A tense body suggests anxiety. Avoided eye contact suggests discomfort. Open posture suggests receptiveness. These signals operate subconsciously. People respond to them without realizing why. Nonverbal communication sets the emotional tone of every interaction. If your body is closed, your words feel distant. If your body is open, your words feel welcoming. Alignment between words and body creates trust. Misalignment creates confusion. When your words say one thing, but your body says another, people feel uneasy. They may not know why, but they sense inconsistency. Consistency builds credibility. Nonverbal awareness begins with understanding your own body. Many people are unaware of what their body is expressing. They cross their arms without noticing defensiveness. They fidget without noticing nervousness. They look away without noticing disengagement. Awareness transforms these habits. Once you notice, you can choose differently. Choice gives control. Nonverbal communication also includes physical spacing. Distance communicates comfort or discomfort. Standing too close can feel intrusive. Standing too far can feel distant. Socially aware communicators adjust space naturally. They read the comfort level of others. This sensitivity creates ease. Nonverbal communication also involves movement pacing. Fast movements signal urgency. Slow movements signal calm. Your pace influences the emotional rhythm of the interaction. When you slow your movements, others slow internally. This creates stability. Stability allows clarity. Facial expressions also carry meaning. A genuine smile relaxes people. A tense jaw signals stress. The face reflects internal state more accurately than words. Nonverbal mastery does not require exaggeration. It requires alignment. Your expression should match your message. When alignment exists, communication feels natural. Eye contact is another powerful element. Eye contact communicates presence. Too little eye contact feels evasive. Too much eye contact feels intense. Balanced eye contact feels respectful. Socially skilled communicators use eye contact naturally. They look when listening. They soften when speaking. This balance creates connection. Nonverbal communication also includes voice tone. Tone is not words. It is delivery. The same sentence spoken with calm tone creates understanding. Spoken with irritation, it creates resistance. Tone carries emotion. People react emotionally before intellectually. This is why tone matters so deeply. Nonverbal communication also includes breathing patterns. Shallow breathing signals anxiety. Deep breathing signals calm. Your breath shapes your presence. Calm breath steadies voice. Steady voice reassures others. Nonverbal awareness also improves listening. When you listen nonverbally, your body reflects attention, facing the speaker, nodding gently, relaxed posture. These signals encourage openness. People speak more freely when they feel received. Nonverbal communication also affects authority. People with grounded posture are perceived as confident. People with restless posture are perceived as uncertain. Authority is often silent. It is communicated through stillness. Stillness signals control. Control earns respect. Nonverbal communication also influences trust. Trust grows when signals are predictable. Sudden shifts create discomfort. Calm consistency creates safety. Safety deepens communication. Nonverbal communication also reveals emotion. Others may hide verbally, a slight hesitation, a tightened expression. These clues guide response. Socially intelligent communicators respond to what is felt, not just what is said. This accuracy improves connection. Nonverbal communication also helps manage conflict. During tension, words escalate easily. Body language can de-escalate. Open posture, lowered tone, slower movement. These signals calm the nervous system of others. Calm reduces defensiveness. Defensiveness blocks understanding. Non-verbal mastery also strengthens empathy. Empathy is felt, not announced. A gentle presence communicates care more than words ever could. People feel empathy through attention and posture. Non-verbal communication also shapes first impressions. First impressions form quickly, often before a word is spoken. Your posture when entering a room, your expression when greeting. These moments matter. They set expectation. Expectations influence response. Non-verbal awareness allows pulsative intentional first impressions, not artificial, aligned. Non-verbal communication also supports authenticity. Authenticity is felt when behavior matches inner state. Forced gestures feel false. Natural alignment feels real. Socially skilled communicators do not act. They align. Non-verbal communication is also cultural. Different environments have different norms. Awareness prevents misunderstanding. Respect for context improves communication accuracy. Non-verbal communication also reveals confidence. Confidence is not stiffness. It is ease. Ease communicates self-trust. Self-trust reassures others. Non-verbal awareness also reduces miscommunication. Many conflicts begin from misread signals. Awareness prevents assumption. Assumption creates error. Non-verbal communication also strengthens presence. Presence is felt when body and mind align. Alignment creates impact. People remember presence long after words fade. Understanding non-verbal communication adds depth to every interaction. You stop relying on words alone. You begin communicating fully. This chapter sharpens perception. Perception improves accuracy. Accuracy builds trust. Trust strengthens communication. From here, your communication becomes whole, spoken and unspoken, heard and felt, and that wholeness is what separates average communicators from exceptional ones. Chapter 8. Choosing the right words and tone. Words are never just words. They carry weight. They carry emotion. They carry intention. Tone decides how that weight lands. You can say the right thing in the wrong tone and destroy connection. You can say a simple thing in the right tone and build trust instantly. This is why communication skill is not about vocabulary alone. It is about precision. Choosing the right words is choosing clarity. Choosing the right tone is choosing emotional safety. Together, they shape how your message is received. Most people speak automatically. They use habitual phrases. They repeat familiar expressions. They do not pause to consider how their words feel to the listener. Socially skilled communicators do. They understand that words create images inside the mind of others. Those images trigger emotion. Emotion shapes response. If your words create tension, people resist. If your words create clarity, people engage. Choosing the right words begins with understanding intention. What do you want the other person to understand, to feel, to do? When intention is unclear, words wander. Wandering words confuse. Clear intention sharpens language. Sharp language reduces misunderstanding. The right words are simple. Complex language often hides uncertainty. Simple words feel confident. They are easy to receive. They do not overload the listener. Clarity respects attention. Choosing the right words also means avoiding unnecessary intensity. Strong emotion does not require strong language. In fact, strong language often escalates emotion. Calm words lower resistance. Lower resistance improves understanding. Tone plays a larger role than most people realize. Tone communicates emotional position. A calm tone signals control. A sharp tone signals threat. A flat tone signals disinterest. People respond to tone instinctively. Their nervous system reacts before their mind evaluates content. This is why tone must be managed consciously. Under stress, tone tightens. Awareness relaxes tone. Relaxed tone invites dialogue. Tense tone shuts it down. Choosing the right tone means matching emotional context. Serious moments require steadiness. Sensitive moments require softness. Direct moments require firmness. Tone adapts without losing authenticity. Authenticity does not mean emotional dumping. It means emotional accuracy. Right words also depend on timing. The same phrase can feel supportive or dismissive, depending on when it is spoken. Timing gives words meaning. Good communicators sense readiness. They do not rush important messages. They allow emotional space before delivering clarity. Choosing words also involves responsibility. Once spoken, words cannot be taken back. They linger. They shape memory. This awareness creates discipline. Discipline improves communication quality. The right words do not attack. They describe. They focus on behavior, not character. This distinction prevents defensiveness. Defensiveness blocks listening. Right words keep dialogue open. Tone also determines authority. Authority does not shout. It speaks steadily. Steady tone communicates confidence. Confidence encourages trust. Trust amplifies influence. Choosing the right words also means knowing when not to speak. Silence can protect meaning. Over-talking dilutes impact. Well-chosen words need space to land. Space strengthens message. Tone also affects self-perception. When you speak calmly, you feel calmer. When you speak clearly, you think clearly. Language shapes internal state. Internal state shapes future language. This feedback loop either strengthens or weakens communication. Choosing words intentionally interrupts negative cycles. Intentional language builds stability. Stability builds confidence. Tone also communicates respect. Respectful tone keeps communication constructive even in disagreement. Disrespectful tone turns discussion into conflict. Words cannot save tone. Tone decides outcome. Right words also consider audience. Different people require different language framing. One size does not fit all. Socially skilled communicators adapt language without losing honesty. Adaptation is intelligence, not deception. Tone also reveals emotional maturity. Emotionally mature communicators do not weaponize words. They do not use sarcasm to mask frustration. They do not use silence to punish. They communicate directly with controlled tone. This earns respect, even when messages are difficult. Choosing the right words reduces conflict before it begins. Clear language removes assumption. Assumption creates error. Error creates frustration. Right words stop the chain. Tone also influences memory. People remember how words felt, not exact phrasing. Tone shapes feeling. Feeling shapes memory. Memory shapes relationship. Choosing the right words and tone is choosing the future of the relationship. This skill develops through awareness, reflection, and adjustment. Mistakes will happen. Awareness turns mistakes into learning. Learning refines expression. Refined expression strengthens communication. As this skill grows, your communication becomes smoother. Misunderstandings decrease. Respect increases. People listen more closely because they feel safe. Safety invites openness. Openness deepens connection. This chapter strengthens your ability to shape meaning with precision and care, because communication is not about saying more. It is about saying what matters in a way that can be received. From here, your words will feel lighter, clearer, and more effective in every conversation you enter. Chapter 9. Handling difficult conversations with maturity. Difficult conversations are unavoidable. They appear in relationships. They appear at work. They appear in moments where emotions collide with reality. What separates strong communicators from weak ones is not avoiding these conversations, but handling them with maturity. Maturity in communication is not about being emotionless. It is about being balanced. Most difficult conversations fail before they even begin. They fail because people enter them with the wrong intention. They want to win. They want to defend. They want to prove. Mature communicators enter to understand and to be understood. That shift changes everything. Difficult conversations demand emotional stability. If you enter emotionally charged, your words will carry tension. Tension invites resistance. Resistance blocks resolution. Maturity begins with emotional preparation. Before the conversation starts, you settle your inner state. You slow your breathing. You clarify your intention. You remind yourself that the goal is clarity, not victory. This inner preparation protects the conversation from emotional escalation. Mature communicators do not rush difficult conversations. They choose the moment carefully. Timing matters. When emotions are high, listening is low. Waiting does not mean avoidance. It means strategy. Strategy preserves respect. Respect keeps communication open. During difficult conversations, tone becomes more important than words. Harsh tone triggers defensiveness. Defensiveness shuts down dialogue. Mature communicators keep their tone steady. They speak calmly, even when the subject is heavy. Calm tone signals safety. Safety allows honesty. Difficult conversations also require clarity. Vague language creates confusion. Confusion creates frustration. Mature communicators speak clearly, without exaggeration. They describe facts, not assumptions. They focus on behavior, not character. This distinction prevents personal attacks. Attacks create walls. Walls block progress. Maturity also shows in listening. Many people talk too much during difficult conversations. They explain, they justify, they repeat. Mature communicators listen deeply. They allow the other person to express fully. Expression releases tension. When tension is released, understanding becomes possible. Listening does not mean agreeing. It means acknowledging. Acknowledgement reduces emotional pressure. Pressure distorts communication. Mature handling also involves managing silence. Silence can feel uncomfortable. Immature communicators rush to fill it. Mature communicators allow it. Silence gives space for reflection. Reflection leads to clarity. Difficult conversations often surface strong emotions: anger, reassurement, disappointment, fear. Maturity does not deny these emotions. It regulates them. You can acknowledge emotion without letting it dominate expression. This balance builds trust. Trust is essential for resolution. Mature communicators also avoid absolutes. Words like always and never escalate conflict. They close dialogue. Specific language keeps discussion grounded. Grounded discussion leads to solutions. Solutions require clarity. Clarity requires patience. Patience is a sign of maturity. Difficult conversations test ego. Ego wants control. Maturity chooses understanding. When ego relaxes, communication improves. You stop reacting personally to every statement. You focus on the issue, not your pride. This shift lowers tension immediately. Mature communicators also accept responsibility. When mistakes are acknowledged calmly, defensiveness dissolves. Accountability builds respect. Respect restores balance. Difficult conversations are not about blame. They are about alignment. Alignment happens when both sides feel heard. Feeling heard reduces emotional intensity. Reduced intensity opens the door to resolution. Maturity also means setting boundaries respectfully. Clear boundaries prevent future conflict. They are communicated calmly, without threat or apology. This clarity protects relationships. Mature communicators do not escalate. They de-escalate. They lower intensity intentionally. Lower intensity creates space for solutions. Difficult conversations also require closure. Leaving things unresolved creates lingering tension. Mature communicators summarize understanding. This confirms clarity. Clarity reduces misinterpretation. Misinterpretation fuels future conflict. Handling difficult conversations with maturity strengthens relationships. It builds trust. It shows emotional intelligence. It demonstrates self-control. Over time, people feel safer communicating with you. Safety invites honesty. Honesty improves connection. This chapter strengthens your ability to face discomfort without losing clarity, because avoiding difficult conversation does not protect peace. Handling them maturely does. From here, your communication becomes resilient. You no longer fear hard discussions. You approach them calmly, with intention, and with emotional control. This is the mark of a developed communicator. Chapter 10. Mastering Communication for Long-Term Success. Communication mastery is not a destination. It is a way of living. It is how you carry yourself every day, how you respond instead of react, how you listen instead of interrupt, how you express instead of explode. Long-term communication success is not built in dramatic moments. It is built quietly through consistency. Most people improve communication temporarily. They apply techniques. They sound better for a while. Then old habits return. True mastery goes deeper. It changes how you think, how you feel, and how you show up. Long-term success begins when communication stops being a tool and becomes part of your identity. You no longer ask, "What should I say?" You ask, "How should I be in this moment?" That shift changes everything. Master communicators are not perfect speakers. They are emotionally stable humans. Stability creates reliability. People trust those who remain consistent across situations. Consistency builds reputation. Reputation shapes opportunity. Long-term communication success depends on emotional discipline. Emotions will rise, pressure will appear, conflict will return. What matters is not avoiding these moments, but navigating them with control. Control is not rigidity. It is awareness under movement. Master communicators remain flexible without losing clarity. They adapt without losing authenticity. This balance is rare, and rarity creates value. Long-term success also depends on reflection. After conversations, master communicators reflect quietly. They notice what worked. They notice what didn't. They adjust. This continuous refinement keeps skills sharp. Growth becomes automatic. Communication mastery compounds over time. Small improvements repeated daily create massive difference. A calmer response here, a clearer sentence there, a better pause. Over years, these moments reshape identity. People begin to describe you differently. They say you are clear. They say you are calm. They say you are easy to talk to. These descriptions open doors. Long-term success also requires humility. No matter how skilled you become, there is always more to learn. Every person teaches you something, if you are observant. Master communicators stay curious. Curiosity keeps ego in check. Ego blocks learning. Learning sustains mastery. Long-term communication success also depends on boundaries. You cannot communicate well if you are emotionally exhausted. Protecting energy protects clarity. Clarity protects quality. Quality sustains influence. Master communicators choose conversations wisely. They engage deeply where it matters. They disengage calmly where it doesn't. This selectivity preserves strength. Strength allows consistency. Consistency builds legacy. Communication mastery also reshapes relationships. Misunderstandings reduce. Trust increases. Conflict resolves faster. Relationships feel lighter. When communication is clear, life feels simpler. Long-term success also influences leadership. People follow those who communicate with calm authority. Authority does not shout. It steadies. Steadiness inspires confidence. Confidence inspires trust. Trust inspires loyalty. Over time, your communication style becomes your signature. People recognize it instantly. They feel safe around it. Safety is rare, and rarity attracts. Mastering communication long-term also changes how you see yourself. You stop fearing expression. You stop avoiding difficult conversations. You trust your ability to handle moments with clarity. This self-trust is freedom. Freedom removes anxiety. Without anxiety, communication flows naturally. Long-term mastery also demands patience. You will make mistakes. Mistakes are not failure. They are feedback. Feedback guides refinement. Refinement strengthens skill. Master communicators forgive themselves quickly and adjust deliberately. This resilience keeps growth alive. Over time, communication stops feeling like effort. It becomes instinctive. You respond with calm because calm is familiar. You speak clearly because clarity is practiced. You listen deeply because presence is habitual. This is long-term success, not dramatic transformation, but quiet evolution. Every chapter you've moved through has built one layer of this foundation: awareness, emotional control, listening, confidence, clarity, non-verbal intelligence, word choice, maturity in difficulty. Now these layers come together. You are no longer developing communication skills. You are living them. From here forward, every conversation becomes practice. Every interaction becomes refinement. Every moment becomes an opportunity to reinforce who you are becoming. Mastery is no longer something you chase. It is something you maintain, and maintenance is easier than transformation ever was. This is the quiet reward of long-term communication mastery. You move through life with fewer misunderstandings, stronger relationships, and deeper respect. Not because you speak more, but because you communicate better. This is not the end. It is the point where everything you've learned starts working together. And from here, your communication will continue to grow with you, steady, clear, and intentional.